The topic of this video is graphing logarithmic functions. Let's look at a problem. Use the graph of f of x equals 2 to the x power to create the graph of f inverse of x equals log base 2 of x. Okay, in a previous video we learned how to graph exponential functions. The very first one was this one, f of x equals 2 to the x power. At that time we created the graph by assuming certain values of x, plugging each one of those values of x one at a time into the equation to find the corresponding values of y, getting ordered pairs for x and y, plotting those points, drawing the horizontal asymptote, and connecting those points to approach the horizontal asymptote and create the shape of the exponential function. Now that we are studying logarithmic functions, and we recall that exponentials and logarithmics are inverses of each other, we can use what we know about the graph of the exponential function to create the graph of the logarithmic function. We do this by swapping all of the inputs and outputs, all of the x's and y's. With this in mind, let's now create the graph of f inverse of x equals log base 2 of x. We take each of the x and y values from the exponential function and swap them. So we get the points 1/4, comma, negative 2, 1/2, comma, negative 1, 1, 0, 2, 1, 4, 2. Let's plot these points. Let's work from bottom to top. 4, 2 would be right here. 2, 1 would be here. 1, 0 would be here. Half, negative 1. That means start at the origin, go half a step to the right, and then down a full step. And I'm going to move this negative 1 just a little bit to the right so that we are no longer missing that negative. Okay, and our final point is 1/4, negative 2. That means starting at the origin, go a quarter step to the right and down 2 steps, which would be this point here. Okay, we need to connect these 5 dots to approach the asymptote, but where will that asymptote be? We know in the case of an exponential function, the asymptote was the horizontal line y equals 0, sitting on top of the x-axis. But with an inverse, x's and y's are swapped. So we would expect that the logarithmic function would have its asymptote at x equals 0, also known as the y-axis. Let's draw that now. Notice that I'm making a very thick line sitting exactly on top of the center of the y-axis. Do not make the mistake of drawing your vertical asymptote slightly to the left or slightly to the right of the y-axis just so that it can be seen. That would be an inaccurate location. Instead, draw a thicker line so that it is clear that its location is sitting on top of the y-axis and it is still visible. Now we connect our 5 dots to approach the vertical asymptote. All right, we have now created the graph of f inverse of x, which in this case is equal to log base 2 of x.